this won't be so bad. It wasn't really a big deal. But then, as night kind of came along, and I still have no power. I'm just like, okay, this is crazy. Um, but I was looking at news article and stuff like that, and all of them said they were doing these rolling blackouts. So, we would have power for a little bit. So once we did get this power, you know, um, you could charge your phones, try not to, just enough so you could heat up your house for a little bit, but it would only be for about an hour or whatever. So I waited for that and that never happened. Like at all. Um, so of course wasn't able to charge my phone, also wasn't able to heat up my house or get any water or do anything like that at all. Oh, I know the power was out for quite some time. I stayed in my apartment for probably about 2.5, maybe 3 days. So I was in the apartment during that for at least a few days. But once the apartment started getting cold, that's when I really was like, okay, I have to get out of here because it's getting way too cold. I'm shivering even if buried under all these blankets, and the cats are the most important thing to me because they are relying on me to take care of them. So I kind of wasn't sure what to do because there were no Ubers around at this point. Um, and so I called 911 about it, and they were saying they were going to give me a call back. They're trying to get cruisers around to pick people up. Um, so they took down my info and where I was, and they said, we'll get back to you. By the time, oh goodness, they said it would be maybe an hour or two. And that time had passed, and I hadn't heard anything. And of course, they're spread thin, they can only do so much. But, I couldn't be in there much longer, so I kept trying everything I could to get any help. So I was in the apartment for about maybe 2 or 3 days. When I got to the shelter, I spent maybe 2 days there, and then the power started was on back at my place, so I was able to get out of there. And I just got back into the apartment. I still didn't have water, so I may have had electricity for a little bit, but I I didn't have water, so I couldn't do anything. I couldn't cook at all, and all of my food had gone, and I had just spent money on groceries not too long before, and now all of my stuff was unfortunately um had gone. So I think it was probably the day of, maybe I looked on Facebook and somebody had mentioned, if you go to this website, they will give you um they'll give you a box of food, just fill it out, it's free. um and it doesn't take very long at all. So I can't remember. I don't even remember the name of the group. It was a Facebook group for um like northern Austin, because I lived up pretty much right near the top of Austin, and someone had made mention of that. So I was like, oh, I'll definitely have to check that out then, because I have no money and I have no I have nothing right now, and I don't have any food. So I mean, like I mentioned, I was able to get a response fairly quickly. I think I had waited maybe a few hours. I don't think I waited very long. And when the volunteer reached out to me, they were very kind and just patient with listening. And I remember that phone call, and they were like, would you do you still need some food? And I was like, yeah, just really anything that's either ready to eat or like just simple things like this. But I'm not picky. I'm like, anything that you have, I will take. I know what I requested, but I know it's not necessarily going to be available. But they were very understanding. They definitely gave me more than I expected. um, I expected maybe like to get a shoebox, or like maybe a bag of groceries, something like maybe a loaf of bread and whatever. So I was very surprised with how much more I actually ended up getting, and it definitely did a lot for me. It helped me out a lot. I did tell my friends about it. I'm like, look, this is actually legitimate because I'm pretty sure they're like a nonprofit. So everything that it says here that you can get free food or assistance, they actually will bring you a box of food. So I, told my friends definitely take advantage of this and spread it around to help others because it, we're all in like really tough times at the moment for sure. So any little bit helps. And I know I have a lot of friends that were struggling at the time. So thank you, Help Action, for my volunteer.